Jai Shri Ram. Sri Krishna delivered 5 Gitas: Bhagavad Gita, Anugita, Uttara Gita, Uddhava Gita, and Kama Gita. In this recording, I am going to read out the slokas of the Kama Gita, which are totally 22, but actually the core is much less than that. The core is perhaps only, wait a minute, maybe 11, 12, 10 slokas only. Okay. So, this is called the Kama Gita, which is Krishna consoling Yudhishthira. Because in the Ashwamedhika Parva, it starts with Dharmaraja, Yudhishthira, lamenting about having killed Bhishma, Drona, Karna. So Yudhishthira is grief stricken totally. So everyone is consoling him. Vyasa, so many rishis, Vaishambhayana, everyone is consoling. Even Dhritarashtra himself consoles Yudhishthira, saying that I have been a stupid fellow. I did not pay heed to Vidura's words, and as a result, actually I should be crying and lamenting, not you. And you have won this battle, and like a true Kshatriya, you should actually enjoy instead of crying and lamenting like this. So even Dhritarashtra consoles. So now finally Krishna also tries to console, and Krishna says these things, which is called Kama Gita. Anyway, I am going to try reading out the slokas. Please listen. Ashwamedhika Parva, chapter 13. Vasudeva Uvacha Nah Bahyam Dravya Mutsrujya Siddhirbhavati Bharata Shariram Dravya Mrutsrujya Siddhirbhavati Vanava. Krishna said, O foremost of the Bharata Kula, moksha is not attained by getting rid of external things like kingdom, etc., but by renouncing those things that satisfy the flesh, that is the sense pleasures. Because Yudhishthira is lamenting, he doesn't want to be the king, he doesn't want to continue ruling, he wants to give up everything and become a mendicant. So Krishna strikes a strong blow. So this is not moksha, Baba. Moksha doesn't mean you run away from kingdom and all that. In one sloka, Krishna said so much, the entire essence of the Bhagavad Gita is captured in this one sloka. Moksha does not mean you run away from your family or kingdom or duties. Moksha means renouncing the craving for the pleasures. In fact, brahmacharya means controlled enjoyment of the senses. And if you dig a little deeper, if you cater to the pleasures demanded by the body dharmically, then Krishna, who is living within this body along with you, he will also be happy. Because in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Balam balavatam chaham kamaraga vivarjitam dharma aviruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshapa. So, any pleasure which is not opposed to dharma is perfectly justified. In fact, he himself, Krishna himself, provides the impetus for such a craving. Isn't it wonderful? So all those ignoramuses who are saying that we should give up everything, they must listen a little more carefully. And Ishavasya Upanishad also says, Ishavasya midam sarvam yat kinchit jagatyan jagattena tyaktena bunjida magrida kasya svidhanam. Tena tyaktena bunjida means enjoy with detachment. So you have to perfectly enjoy with detachment. Don't get obsessively attached. So this is essential. Otherwise, there will be a psychological breakdown. Now, if you have any further questions, we will have a discussion later. Now let me continue reading these shlokas. Then Krishna continues. Krishna says, Krishna says, let us read the shloka first. Bahya dravya vimuktasya sharireshu cha gru dhyataha yo dharmo tat sukham chaiva dvishatamastu tat tatha. The dharma, the virtue and happiness which one attains, who has renounced only the external objects, but who at the same time possessed by passions and weaknesses of the flesh, let this be the portion of our enemies. So Krishna is using some sarcasm here. अरे बाबा, जो तू कर रहा है ना, ये हमारे दुश्मन लोगों को करने दे, ये दुश्मन को करने दे, ये काम तेरा नहीं है. అంటే ఇట్లాంటి మోక్షము, అంటే ఈ తప్పుడు మోక్షం అనమాట. ఇదేదో మోక్షం అనుకుంటున్నావు, ఇది మన శత్రువులు ఉంటారు చూడు, వాళ్ళని చేసుకొని ఇట్లాంటి పనులు, అంటే ఇది మోక్షానికి దారి తీయదురా నాయనా, వదిలిపారిపోవడం కాదురా బాబు. భగవద్గీత చెప్పాం కదా, అర్జునుడికి చెప్పాడు. మరి అర్జునుడు యుధిష్ఠిరుడికి ఎంత కమ్యూనికేట్ చేశాడో, యుధిష్ఠిరుడికి అన్నీ తెలుసు, కానీ ఇవన్నీ మనలాంటి వాళ్ళకి మళ్ళీ మళ్ళీ బోధించడానికే జరుగుతూ ఉంటాయన్నమాట. సో కృష్ణ సెడ్ వాట్ ఈ సెడ్. ఓకే, నౌ లెట్స్ గో టు ద థర్డ్ శ్లోకం. కృష్ణ సేస్ ద్వయ అక్షరస్తు భవేన్ మృత్యుస్త్రయక్షరం, భవేన్ మృత్యుస్త్రయక్షరం బ్రహ్మ శాశ్వతం మమేతి చ భవేన్ మృత్యుర్ na mameti cha shashvatam. This line is very important. You should memorize this. Mameti cha bhaven mrityu. Mameti cha bhaven mrityu. Please make a note. Mameti cha bhaven mrityu na mameti cha shashvatam. Mameti cha bhaven mrityu na mameti cha shashvatam. Krishna is saying there are two letters. The word with two letters is mrityu, and the word with three letters is Shashvata Brahman. Dvayaksharastu bhaven mrityu, strayaksharam brahma shashvatam. There are two words that lead to mrityu, three words that lead to Shashvatam. Moksha, eternal redemption, freedom from all suffering, freedom from rebirth, this never-ending cycle of birth and death. Krishna is saying that there are two words, there is a word with two letters which leads to mrityu, and there is a word with three letters that leads to Shashvata Brahman. That is mindness and not mindness, the sense of ownership. So egoism and being addicted to worldly objects and thinking that you own something, you feel that you own your body, your family, your wife, your sons, your property, land, building, gold, bank balance. Mameti cha bhaven mrityu. You don't own them. You have them as a temporary possession which has to be used for some dharmic activity, but don't be obsessed. They will come and go also. So if you are obsessed, then you will feel bad when you lose some of it, and you will be overjoyed when you get a little more of it. That is stupid. Okay, mameti cha bhaven mrityu na mameti cha shashvatam. So Krishna is trying to tell Yudhishthira indirectly, Are, give up. True giving up is not what you are doing. You are only doing pseudo giving up. Okay, true renunciation is when you don't have any attachment and obsession, and also don't have any sense of ownership. So the absence of ownership is immortality. Now the next, fourth one. Brahma mrityu tato rajan atmanyeva vyavasthitau adrushyamano bhutani yodha yetam asamshayam. And these two, the Atma, the spirit, and death, mrityu, O Raja, have their seats in the Atmas of all creatures. Brahma mrityu, Brahma and mrityu, both of them are seated in your Atma. And remaining unseen, they rage war with each other. See, Krishna is using such a wonderful metaphor here. So, moksha and mrityu are seated in our hearts. Just imagine, can you visualize in your own heart? There are two huge thrones, On one is seated moksha, you visualize moksha. Moksha means Krishna. And on the other you visualize mrityu, black, dark. And there is a constant battle between these two. Then Krishna says, Avinashosya sattvasya niyato yadi bharata bhitva shariram bhutanam himsam pratipadyate. And if, O Bharata, it be true that no creature is ever killed, then one commits no sin, no papam for the death of a creature by destroying its body. So only the body is destroyed. The Atma is eternal, immortal. So this is repeatedly being drummed into his head. It was drummed into Arjuna's head also, but he kept forgetting it. So Arjuna had to be told the Bhagavad Gita 3 times actually. The first time in the battlefield, then Anugita, and after that Uttara Gita. And then Krishna goes on, Labdhvahi prudhvim krutsnam sahasthavara jangamam mamatvam yasya naiva syat kim taya sakarishyati. What matters the world to a man if, having acquired the sovereignty of the entire earth with its mobile and immobile creation, he does not become attached to it? So, what matters the world to a man? Even if he gets anything, nothing matters to him. If he is not attached to the whole thing, then nothing will bother him. He will not accrue any papam. Athava vasataha partha vane vanyen jivataha mamata yasya dravyeshu mrutyorasye savartate. And you know this shloka, the same idea is in the Bhagavad Gita also. Anyway, I'll read this one now. I've read it. So the meaning is, but if a man renounces the whole world and goes to the forest and becomes a vanaprasthi, living on vegetables and wild roots and leaves and all that, oh son of Pratha, and he still has a craving for earthly things and he is still addicted to them, he is said to bear death in his mouth. Uske मुंह में मृत्यु है. The same shloka in the Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna says in the 3rd chapter, 6th shloka, Karmendriyani samyamya ya aste manasa smaran, Karmendriyani samyamya ya aste manasa smaran, Indriyarthan vimudhatma mithyacharasya uchyate. So he is controlling the external organs, but in the mind he is dwelling on the same things. This fellow is a hypocrite. He is a bloody dongi, wearing all the trappings of a sadhu and a mendicant or a saint, if you want to call him that, Baba. But this rascal, mentally he is fantasizing about good food and sex and wealth and all that. But to the people outside, he is putting on a nice appearance of a Baba, mendicant. He is a bloody rascal, a hypocrite. Krishna is condemned. The same thing Krishna is now saying here using different words. Athava vasatah partha vane vanyena jivatah mamata yasya dravyeshu mrutyuryo rasya savartate. Mrutyorasye savartate. Mrutyorasye savartate. That means Krishna is saying he is said to bear death in his mouth. Notlo chavu undata vadiki. वो मुंह में मृत्यु लेके घूम रहा है, मतलब ढोंगी रच रहा है ना, इसका बहुत भयंकर एंड होगा. नेक्स्ट कृष्णा सेज बाह्यांतराणाम शत्रूणाम स्वभाव पश्य भारत यन्न पश्यति तद भूतमुच्यते स महाभयात. Therefore, O Bharata, be vigilant and observe the character of your external and internal enemies. And the man who is able to perceive the nature of the external reality will be able to get over the influence of the Mahabhayam. Mahabhayat, great fear. What is the great fear? Being reborn again. So, understand the external enemies and the internal enemies. The external enemies are easy to control. The internal enemies, the Arishad Vargas, Kama, Krodha, Moha, Lobha, Mada, Matsarya, they are quietly sitting inside the mind, and you could be deluding yourself, cheating yourself. Cheating others is wrong, but cheating ourselves is stupid. Is even more worse. So Krishna is reiterating the same thing. Now he goes on. Krishna says, Kamatmanam na prashasanti loke neha kama kachidasti pravrutti sarve kama manasonga prabhuta yan pandita samharati vichintya bhuyo bhuyo janma nobhyasa yogat bhuyo bhuyo janmano abhyasa yogat bhuyo bhuyo janmano abhyasa yogat yogi yogam sahara margam vichintya danam cha vedadhyayanam tapascha kamyani karmani cha vaidikani vratam yajnan niyaman dhyana yogan kamena yo na rabhate viditva yat yachayam kamayate sadharmo nayo dharmo niyamastasya moolam. Now, to translate this into English, Krishna is saying, men, humans, men do not like the conduct of those who are engrossed in earthly desires. Engrossed, totally. And there is no deed without having a desire. And all desires are, as it were, the limbs of the mind. All desires are the limbs of the mind. Krishna is explaining. Therefore, wise men knowing this control their desires. Krishna is also saying, Krishna is using another psychological ploy, telling Yudhishthira that if he continues with this stupid behavior, he will incur the displeasure and ignominy of the public also. He will incur public disgrace because this is fake. This is not a real renunciation. This is a pseudo renunciation. Krishna is warning him. Therefore, wise men knowing this control their desires. The yogi who communes with the Supreme Spirit knows yoga to be the perfect way to moksha by reason of the practices of his many earlier births. And remembering that what the Atma wishes is not conducive to punyam and virtue, but that the control of the desires is at the root of all true virtue. Such people, such wise men do not engage in the practice of charity, Vedic learning, asceticism, Vedic rites, whose object is attainment of earthly prosperity. So these people don't indulge in all this, and even if they do, it will be also only a show, not any total involvement. So Krishna is again elaborating on the same point. Then Krishna goes on to say, Atra gatha kama gita कीर्तयन्ति पुराविदः शृणु संकीर्त्यमानास्ता अखिलेन युधिष्ठिर नाहं शाक्योनु उपायेन हन्तुं भूतेन केनचित्. Now here, see, Krishna is employing one more psychological ploy. Because, as they say, తెలుగులో పెరటి చెట్టు వైద్యానికి పనికిరాదు. A prophet is never recognized in his own land. So even Arjuna apologizes to Krishna. Hey Krishna, hey Yadava, hey Sakheti, Ajanata. So Arjuna says, I never realized that you are the Supreme Lord. So please pardon me, I was taking you very lightly. Arjuna apologizes. Krishna knew very well that even Yudhishthira, in spite of repeatedly saying, Yudhishthira repeatedly declares that he knows Krishna is the Supreme Purushottama. But again, you see, after all, when they are moving along with him, there is a risk that he might also undervalue. Take Krishna lightly, take him for granted. Therefore, Krishna now says, see, listen to what the rishis used to say. Krishna has already said what he has said. But perhaps even in Krishna's mind there is a doubt whether this fellow is going to listen. Therefore, now Krishna is saying, Are Baba, listen to the rishis. This is what the rishis call the Kama Gita. See, atra gatha Kama Gita kirtayanti puravidah. In ancient times, the rishis used to call this the Kama Gita. Now I am going to tell you the Kama Gita. In fact, the Kama Gita means whatever has already Krishna said. But now, what the rishis said, Krishna is narrating. Yudhishthira, please listen to this. This is called Kama Gita. Yomam prayatate hantum ज्ञात्वा प्रहरणे बलम तस्य तस्मिन् प्रहरणे पुनः प्राधुर bhavamyaham. Now Kama is being personified here. Desire. Kama is a word which simply means selfish desire. Selfish desire. So some fools think that Kama means sex. Sex is also included. Kama has many meanings. Okay, Kama means selfish desire. So, now this selfish desire Kama has been personified, and Kama is saying something. Kama is saying, Yomam prayatate hantum jnatva praharane balam tasya tasmin praharane punah pradhur bhavamyaham. Kama is saying, no being, no creature is able to destroy me without following the proper methods, that is controlling the selfish desires and practice of yoga. Now yoga means union with Krishna. Yoga, of course, physical yoga, hatha yoga is also there. Some foolish people think that yoga means getting into all kinds of fancy poses and asanas. No, that is the physical part. Yes, you can develop a strong body, but more important than the body is the mind. So if you study Bhagavad Gita, internalize the Bhagavad Gita and start living the Gita, that is yoga. Okay. So Kama is declaring very clearly, no one will be able to destroy me without following the proper methods, which is absolute control over the desires and bhakti toward Krishna. That is yoga, practice of yoga. Then Kama continues. Yumam prayatate hantum yajnair vividha dakshinaihi jangameshviva dharmatma punah pradhur bhavamyaham. Yomam prayatate nityam vedair vedanta sadhanaihi sthavareshviva bhutatma tasya pradhur bhavamyaham. If a man knowing my power tries to destroy me by chanting mantras, I will prevail over him by deluding him with the belief that I am the ego within him. The ego will say, yeah, I've conquered, and he becomes a bigger fool. Here I am tempted to tell you the story of a man who claimed that he conquered anger. So he put up a board outside his ashram, conquered anger, please come. Many people came and everyone was very impressed. So finally one person like you and me came, a devil's advocate who will ask all controversial questions. So this fellow came and he sat in front. Sir, I came to know that you have conquered anger. Yes, I have conquered anger. And he also narrates that Uttame syat kshanam kopam madhyame ghatikadvayam adhame syad ahoratram papiste maranantagam. That means the really evolved person is angry only for a few seconds. Uttame syat kshanam kopam madhyame ghatikadvayam. The middle level evolved for a few hours. Adhame syad ahoratram. The fallen will remember for a couple of days, nights and days. And the real worst sinner, Papatma, uttame syat kshanam kopam madhyame ghatikadvayam adhame syad ahoratram papishte maranantakam. Papi सच्चेंत वరకు వాడికి కోపం ఉంటుంది. సో जो पापी होता है मरे जब तक उसके अंदर गुस्सा रहता है. So the really papi is a character who keeps anger within him till he dies. And you see, most old people become embittered, frustrated, free floating anger. They are always itching, fighting, very irritable and cantankerous, full of anger, actually bursting with anger. Free floating anger is what we see everywhere today. So this is the problem. So Swamiji says, and that man says, okay. And he goes on asking so many questions. So finally this Swami has to go to the bathroom. But this fellow will not allow him to go. Then finally he gives a small pause. That fellow says, I have to go to the bathroom. So he gets up. And he says, thank you Swamiji for your great patience. I have to leave. So Swamiji is also happy. Now he can go to the bathroom. So this fellow goes out, and before the Swamiji could reach the bathroom, he comes running back and falls at the feet of Swamiji. Swamiji, you are so great. You are so wonderful. You are teaching me such wonderful lessons. I am also now able to control my anger. What a great man you are. Your capacity to control anger is, unmatched. He goes on talking like this. Now that fellow Swamiji, his pressure is mounting. He has to go to the loo. You can imagine if you have faced such a situation. Now that fellow gets terribly angry and gives him one kick and runs into the bathroom. End of the story. So Kama is saying, if a man desires to destroy me by doing yajnas, doing dhanam, I deceive him by appearing in his mind as a most virtuous creature, and he is a great philanthropist. And if he wishes to destroy me by study of Vedas and all the other Shastras, I again overpower him by appearing in his mind as and making him think that he is a dharmatma. He is a great, learned, erudite dharmatma. Again, he cannot get rid of me. Then Kama says, Yumam prayatate hantum dhrutya satyaparakramaha bhavo bhavami tasyaham sachama navabudhyati Yumam prayatate hantum tapasa samshitavrataha tatas tapati tapasi tasyat punah pradur bhavamyaham Yomam prayatate hantum mokshamasthaya panditaha tasya mokshara tisthasya nrutyami cha hasami cha avadhya sarva bhutanam ahamekah sanatana. So these are words Krishna is saying, so that's why they are important. Krishna is narrating and saying that this is what rishis said. Now what is Krishna saying? That Kama said. And if a man whose strength lies in truth, satyam, and he wishes to overcome me by patience, I appear to him in his mind and as the ego again, and he does not perceive my existence. And if he undertakes mortification, austere religious practices, and he tries to destroy me using this asceticism, I appear in the dress of asceticism in his mind, and he will then think that he is a great ascetic. Again I persist. And the man of learning who wishes to achieve moksha by learning, I frolic and laugh in the face of such a man intent on moksha. I am the ego. I am the everlasting one without an equal, whom no creature can kill or destroy. Avadhya sarva bhutanam ahamekah sanatana. See, I am the truly eternal one, whom none can destroy. And then Krishna says, Tasmat tvamapi tam kamam yajnair vividha dakshinaihi dharme kuru maharaja tatrate sa bhavishyati. Therefore, O Maharaja, divert your desires to dharmic activity, so that by these means you may attain what is good for you and your entire family. Yajasva, Yajasva, Vajimedhena, Vidhivat, Dakshinavata, Anyescha, Vividher Yajnaihi, Samruddher Apta Dakshinaihi. Krishna says, therefore, make preparations for the Ashwamedha Yajna and other yajnas, and give away wealth in charity and acquire punyam. So Ashwamedha does not mean killing a horse. Some idiots have written and many fools are believing that. Medha means intelligence. Medha Devi, Saraswati is called Medha Devi. She is not the goddess of slaughter. Ashwamedha means agriculture. Ashwamedha means spreading the kingdom, uniting. Petty kings keep fighting. Therefore, they must be made into vassals or satraps or samanta rajulu, so that the whole world can be brought under the yoke of one emperor like Yudhishthira, and peace will reign. Only when peace is there, prosperity is possible. So, Rashtram va Ashwamedha Annam hi gau. So, this is what the Veda says. Ajyam Medha, Annam hi gau, Ajyam Medha. That is, you put your intelligence into what? Expanding the kingdom, improving the infrastructure, and Annam hi gau, increase the food grains, increase cultivation of plants and food grains, and so that everyone has their basic needs met, roti kapda makan, and peace is ensured across the globe. That is called Ashwamedha. Killing of horses, and actually some rascals have written that Ashwamedha means the Brahmins in olden days, they were burning the horse alive. Unthinkable horror. You see, we Hindus don't like to even kill an ant. Animittam trunam vapi chedayenna kadachana. Our Shastras say, do not pluck even a blade of grass if you don't have any need for it. So that is the Hindu nature. By nature we are ahimsa. We are ahimsa prone. We will not harm anybody. So, and unthinkable of slaughtering cows, goats, Ashwamedha, Gaumedha, Naramedha. Naramedha means funeral rites. Gaumedha means control of the senses, and Gaumedha also means reclaiming soil, making barren lands fertile. Hare Baba. Gau means earth, Gau means senses. So unfortunately, these distortions have crept in because of rascals like Macaulay, and who is that fellow? Murkha Muller, Max Muller, and many other buffoons and Marxist historians and all other jokers were there, whose job was only to distort our Vedas, so that Hindus develop a self-loathing, so that they can become converted. They will be vulnerable to conversion. That is how many fools have got converted without reading their holy books. So Krishna is saying, Yajasva Vajimedhena Vidhivad Dakshinavata Anyescha Vividhair Yajnaihi Samruddhair Apta Dakshinaihi. Then Krishna goes on to conclude, Mate Vyathastu Nihatan Bandhun Viksha Punah Punah Na Shakyaste Punardrushtam Ye Hatasmin Ranajire. Don't let this grief overpower you, Yudhishthira. Again and again, this is happening too much, too often with you. On seeing your friends and relatives lying dead on the battlefield. These bodies are going to perish, Baba. The Atmas are eternal. So don't let this. You are continuously looking at them and grieving. So Krishna is saying, Bhai, please stop doing this nonsense. And then Krishna concludes, Sattva Mishtva Mahayajnai Samruddhair Apta Dakshinai Kirtim Loke Param Prapya Gatim Agryam Gamishyasi. Therefore, you should perform all these yajnas, do charity, so that you gain the reputation in the whole world and ensure peace and prosperity and achieve moksha. So that is Krishna's advice to Yudhishthira. This is called Kama Gita. Some people say it is 22 slokas. As I told you already, Krishna, of course, actually is repeating the same thing that he said in the Bhagavad Gita. Now, 10 slokas, Krishna told us that this is what the rishis said. So, totally, anyway, you remember Kama Gita is 22. Kama Gita occurs in the Ashwamedhika Parva, chapter 13. So, Krishna delivered 5 Gitas: Bhagavad Gita, Anu Gita, Uttara Gita, Uddhava Gita, and Kama Gita. So, this is the Kama Gita. I don't think anybody has made any recording, so please listen to it carefully and forward it to all Krishna Bhaktas. Jai Shri Ram.